Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Tilson Live. It is Tuesday. It is 2 o'clock. We are coming at you live on YouTube. I'm getting dizzy. What are you doing? Live on YouTube, live on Facebook, as we do each and every single Tuesday at 2 o'clock. So we want to talk about all things building a custom home on your land. I'm Eric Allard, part of the fourth generation of the Tilson family, joined as I am each and every single week, who is playing like musical chairs over here with us. Dawn Dantzler, Tilson's Vice President of Marketing and Customer Experience. How are you, Dawn? Besides dizzy?
I'm great. How are you doing, Eric?
Fantastic. I'm fine. I'm fine where I am. So
okay, you can stay there.
Shuffling. Are we good? People do complain, Matt. I will introduce him in a second. This is our friend Matt. We'll talk about that in a minute. But they do complain if we're not at our proper places at the table,
proper seats.
You know, like at church, no one really has a reserve pew, but they do. Like
that makes sense.
You must be visiting today because clearly this is where I sit. So anyway, folks, jump into the chat. Tell us where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process that we are in. We want to talk about all things building on your land. So in a minute here, I'm going to talk about our friend who's joining us. But it is Tilson Live. It is Tuesday. It is 2 o'clock. We are live on YouTube, live on Facebook, talking about all things building a custom home on your land. We want to hear from you guys. That's why we do the show. Dawn could talk to me pretty much anytime she wants to. Not that she wants to, but she could. She could if she wanted to. And I would answer her questions, which would take about 37 seconds, and then we move on about our day. But before we get into what we're doing today, spoiler alert, we're joined by the Matt Howe, longtime friend and colleague of the Tilson family and of me personally. So Matt is the president of Wagon Hill Home Loans. He's joining us today. So spoiler alert, we're going to talk about financing stuff. But Matt, if you would, please give us a little bit of an insight as to your journey. While people jump into the chat, folks, y'all tell us where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you are in. We want to hear from you. Matt here is going to tell us about what got him into this industry and what he likes doing about this. What is so fun about financing houses, Matt? Tell us about it.
Well, that's a very good question. Thanks, Eric. So I've been, just a little bit of background about myself, been in the mortgage industry for about 20 years now, 20 plus years. Kind of went a strange route to get to the mortgage industry. I started out as a professional athlete out of college, played professional baseball for several years. And then when that journey was over, was able to link on with a company called TXL Mortgage. So I started at TXL Mortgage as a loan processor and advanced very quickly up to a loan originator within about 6 months or so of being there. And actually my first account that I started working with was the Katy Design Center here in Katy, Texas. That was the first account that I was able to work with, and kind of built that up into, being able to service all the design centers here throughout Texas over the years. So started at TXL. Then we kind of moved over to a company called AMCAP, where I was still remained a preferred lender for Tilson Homes. And then most recently, last year, moved over to VIP Mortgage. Still was working with Tilson on closing out my pipeline of loans that I had under construction with them. And then was fortunate enough to make this move here about 2 months ago to come back over to work with Tilson kind of full-time with Wagon Hill. So been over here for about 2 months and just enjoy working with Tilson over the last 20 years. This kind of feels like home to me. From a lending standpoint. Tilson's a little bit different from any other, builder, that I've ever worked with or talked with. The build on your lot process is unique in and of itself. And then of course the EasyBuy program is even more unique. So having a full understanding of kind of what Tilson's needs are and the borrower's needs are to get through this process seamlessly is kind of what, I hang my hat on. So it's been a great experience, for the last 20 years or so, looking to build on that and just keep it going.
Eric, you're muted.
It's our first time we've ever done this. So speaking of feeling like home, I echo that sentiment. Is what I was saying is that, you've done, not exaggerating, thousands of home loans for Tilson, for thousands of Tilson customers, which is really, really cool. And so, customers of mine, people that we both know personally, And so it is cool kind of having you back in the saddle. Just your real calm demeanor is refreshing when it's a big commitment.
Yeah.
We can have the coolest design that's out there and all the right modifications made to it and the customization and the colors that are perfect and all that. But at the end of the day, the what seems like the kind of boring ho-hum part of it, which is how is this thing going to get paid for? Like that's until you can show someone how to cross that bridge, none of the rest of that stuff. I really value the way that you do that, our customers, and I think that's really unique. Your skill set that you do that with. So anyway, glad that you're here. Glad you're joining us, folks. Keep dropping your where you are in the chat. So tell us where you're watching from, where you're building, what part of the process you are in. Clearly, we're going to be talking about financing today, predominantly. However, should you have any questions about site preparation, customization, construction, energy efficiency, Matt will answer all of those questions as well. That's why he's here. And if you need your kid's swing worked on, he can help with that. Probably more so than the construction energy efficiency questions, but I bet he can chime in on those as well. But yeah, we're looking to talk about all things appraisals. We're going to talk about Tilson's EasyBuy process, how that's different. We will talk one-time close. That's kind of that's new frontier, new territory to Tilson Homes. We can talk about the different programs that are out there. So we can talk VA, FHA, conventional, what the differences are, what is equity, and how does if someone owns their land or is paying into their land, how does that work? We'll talk about all of those things. Y'all join us. And, of course, any questions y'all have specifically, drop them into the chat. We want to hear from you guys. Yeah, so describe a little bit what Tilson's relationship is with Wagon Hill Home Loans, because you were a part of the first go-around that we did this, 20-odd years ago with TXL Mortgage. And so tell us a little bit how it's different this time and what that relationship is.
Well, yeah, so we have, affiliated business arrangement between, Wagon Hill Home Loans and Tilson Homes. So there's an ownership interest, there are common ownership interests between the two. Or actually, Tilson has the ownership interest in Wagon Hill. So we work as a partnership. There's open communication, open lines of communication between all teams, between Tilson and Wagon Hill. We did start up this one-time close product, which is new to Tilson, because they've always done the EasyBuy program, which is an excellent program. But the one-time close product does open up to a little more opportunities for some customers that may not have fit inside the box of the EasyBuy program. So there's that flexibility as well. Wagon Hill has some other programs that are available, some outside the box programs that may not have been available prior to this partnership between Tilson Homes and Wagon Hill. So that's good. We kind of opened up our book of to different programs, some niche products that might work, which previously we didn't really have access to. So all of that has been kind of opened up between this partnership between Tilson Homes and Wagon Hill. And was there anything else you wanted to hit on?
No, that's really the main things, right? Is letting people know that part of the reason we did this, right? There's a ton of lenders out there, right? Mm-hmm. There's no surprise there, and what we do is very different, right? Especially with the EasyBuy on your lot is different enough, building, and then when you take EasyBuy on top of that, how different it is. Like we have found that when customers bring their own lender to us, somebody they knew or used before. I mean, dare I even say like a Quicken or a Rocket or a Chase or one of those? They are not fluent on your lot, and certainly not so in Texas. Mm-hmm. And so part of the reason we did this was to be able to predict the customer experience. I used to say to control it, but that's not really what it is. Really is to make it more predictable. At the end of the day, you and your team control the experience with being, your communication and setting expectations and all that kind of stuff. But it was to really make it a more predictable customer experience. Like, look, I know they're telling you that they're going to play by our rules and do the things we need to do. They're not. They're not going to do any of that stuff. They're not going to order the appraisal up front. They're not going to have all the documentation squared away before we start construction. They're not going to. And all this stuff's going to sneak up on us at closing or 3 weeks prior, and it's going to blow it up. and it's a horrible experience for customers. And so for us, it was really important that it's volatile enough, the whole navigating the mortgage industry, and so having someone like you and your team that have done on your lot custom construction is really critical for what we're going to, what our customers are signing up for, to make sure that they have a thorough understanding of what's going to be done. Dawn, do you have anything to add to that? I'm sure you do.
I think it goes back to what you've said and what Matt was saying at the beginning, is that, built on your lot is such a different animal, and Tilson in our sandbox is very different than everybody else. So it was really important to us that we had somebody who understood EasyBuy, and that we had, the mortgage company that we could refer our customers to that was on top of it, and that was like-minded with us, understood who our customers are, and what they're going through, to make it a better experience for everybody all around.
Yeah, well,
yeah. I mean, and this process, because it's a longer process for everybody that's involved, right? So it's more relationship building, between your mortgage company and your customers and the builders. So that's one thing I like to kind of harp on is this isn't transactional. This isn't a transactional thing. This isn't a 30-day. Hey, let's get I'm going to meet you, handshake, and then we're going to close this thing in 30 days. It's going to be kind of a process for everybody. So we get to know each other a little bit. There's going to be some circumstances that happen during construction. Life happens. You having a relationship with your customer where they can reach out to you and say, hey, Matt, this is what's going on. Can I get some advice on kind of how to proceed or how to navigate this? So things like that are very important when you're working on a build on your lot transaction such as this. Whereas if you are using an outside lender like a Quicken or whatever, Rocket, you may have trouble getting a hold of your loan officer. And when you do, the loan officer probably doesn't really know exactly what your situation is or really what you're going through, especially on this build on your lot. So there are advantages to working with our team specific to Tilson, just because we understand it's a long process, very personal. These homes that you guys are building are like your forever homes. You've got your land, you've owned your land. You may have just acquired it, or you may have had it for 20 years. So we understand the importance of such a big decision to make, to build this home and have it be your forever home. So we try to make it relationship based, and try to get to know you as much as we can, and have you reach out to us with any questions that arise during any part of the process.
And there will be there will be questions that come up for sure. Yes. So real quick, so when did you start in the mortgage business? Like when were you first processing?
That was 2006.
Okay, so there's a reason I asked it. So Matt was one of the few that was here before. You see that thing by his name? It says NMLS. When Matt started underwriting loans, that did not exist. There was no such thing as NMLS until 2007. I don't know what happened in that time that made them create that thing. I forget, but there was something. There was an event that took place, a cataclysmic event.
I remember buying a home I had no business buying. I think that's the kind of stuff that was happening.
But the line of questioning is just to kind of prove out that credibility that Matt and his team have been doing this a very, very, very long time. Til's been doing this very, very, very long time. We have really good advice. We have really good programs that we're going to get into. We'll talk specifically about EasyBuy. But as we do that, folks, keep dropping your questions into the chat, where you're watching from, where you're building part of the process you're in. Dawn, we got a couple of questions that have popped up right away. So maybe we can introduce these people. And
absolutely. All right. So we've got Doug and Jan in Bergheim. They're waiting on a stakeout survey and construction drive. Does 50 foot of waterline trenching include digging in rock in Kendall County?
So there will be an additional charge for the rock. Doug, great question. There'll be an additional charge for the rock, and your sales consultant will have that charge. It goes that's for the water line, septic system, as well as if we're doing underground electrical, the electric line. There's an additional charge for the rock, and basically it's to get a rock saw out there. So it's really just the delivery. It's not unusual, of course, as you know, in Kendall County, but it's to get the rock saw delivered. Pay someone to, usually it's a rental or something like that, pay that to do that, and then on to the next job. But yeah, very common for us, not a problem. But yeah, there will be an additional charge if rock is encountered, which part of what the stakeout guy does when they're out there is They probe the ground and so, yeah, is this like a rock like the size of a laptop, or is this like the size of a Suburban? Like, what are we talking about here? Because it could vary out there, especially in Kendall County. So we try not to charge it if we don't have to, which is why the cost doesn't include that automatically, because not every single lot in Kendall County is trenching through, an 8-foot thick piece of limestone, but it does happen. So great question. Appreciate you asking.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Then we've got Denise building a Canyon C in Chapel Hill. The cabinets, doors, and trim are all in. And I think the rock will start this week, hoping we are in before Christmas.
Nice.
Awesome. That's
Very
exciting.
cool.
And she says her builder says they're 60 days out. What should I expect for the loan process to proceed?
Matt, it's teed up for you, buddy.
Excellent question. So 60 days out is the perfect time frame that we're looking to start that update process. So your loan officer should be reaching out to you guys to kind of re-interview you a little bit, see what's changed over the last several months, if anything's changed, making sure your employment's the same. If you've moved different addresses, sometimes there's a move made during construction. If you're at living with family or at an apartment or at a mobile home, or now you're living on a fifth wheel on the subject property.
Yep.
All of those scenarios kind of factor in. We need to make sure we have all those changes. Ask you questions kind of about, hey, what are your plans? Do you want to put additional money down? Are you looking to roll some closing costs in? Do you want to escrow your property taxes and insurance? Kind of things, questions like that we'll go back over with you that we may have talked about previously. Just kind of refresh and kind of, see where you are, because sometimes plans change. You may have told us, 10 months ago, hey, I want to put $50,000 down at closing. And now we're at closing. You say, hey, Matt, I don't have that $50,000 anymore. Now I'm looking to roll in my closing costs. So things change.
And Matt, we're not. So Denise was one of the ones that reached out that got like kind of that weird letter about.
Yes.
Like, okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I believe Blair contacted her, but I'll follow up with Blair after this and just make sure we're starting that process for her.
See,
so we
Denise,
can get that
mind like a steel trap. We're here for you, girl.
Yeah, I hear you.
Well, I don't talk to many people anymore. So
yeah, but that update process again. So what we're going to do is we do have to go back through the underwriting process.
So I'm sorry, I'm going to call a timeout real quick. So start from the beginning. Why would you need to update? Just to give a little context. Dawn likes context, so we want to try and give a little context here. Why would you need to redo it? I did all this once with you. Why are we redoing things until
right? So on the standard EasyBuy program, we go through a full underwriting process to get you approval for construction. Now, there's no construction closing. Once we get you through that approval process includes income documentation, asset documentation, a full appraisal on your property to confirm your equity in the transaction. We fully underwrite that loan and issue a conditional approval or commitment letter. Basically, what that letter indicates is we've fully underwritten this package. We have a loan that we'll be able to close upon completion of the home, assuming our borrower's credit and income stays similar to where we are right now. Okay. And we do understand there could be some changes between now and then. But that's in a nutshell what that approval letter is, and that's what Tilson's waiting on from their lender before they're comfortable to move forward spending their money to build your house. So that approval has a shelf life, right? Your credit report is only good for a certain period of time. Your income docs are only good for a certain period of time. Since we're not closing on the loan at that time, once we get within about 60 days of completion of the home, we need to go back through that process. We're going to re-pull your credit, get new income docs, new asset docs, go back through the underwriting process. If a second appraisal is needed, we'll order it then. If just a final inspection is needed, we'll order it then. It just depends on the loan program and the age of your appraisal and things like that will dictate how we need to handle that appraisal piece. But in a nutshell, your approval up front is good to get you started for construction.
It's a snapshot, right? It's a snapshot in time.
You need to go back through that process a second time before we can finalize the loan terms, get you closed on the completed home. Now, in most cases, I would say probably in all the cases right now, we have Wagon Hill. This is just kind of a little bit behind the curtain. Wagon Hill, their joint venture went live back in July, right, Eric?
Yeah.
So we have originated the loans on the OneTrust platform originally. And now that Wagon Hill has gone live, we have a new Wagon Hill platform. So what we're doing with our customers that are in process, once they're coming up to the 60 days, is we're transferring their information with their permission from the OneTrust platform to the Wagon Hill platform, which means you guys don't have to fill out a new application. We transfer all the information over, so you don't have to redo it. We do need to send you new disclosures for your e-signatures, which is an easy process. But it's just one additional step that we're having to take to get that information over from the old platform to the new platform. And once we go from there, it's business as usual. So we are doing that step, but yeah, very important to get everything up set. We try to get things started within 60 days of completion, so we get a head start on getting you into underwriting, requesting all the information needed. So when your house is rounding out to completion, we're ready to go, and we don't have any trailing docs that we're waiting on. We want to get the credit package completely underwritten, so we're just waiting on Tilson to say, hey, it's ready for the final inspection. Get the appraiser out there to complete that report so we can get that done and then get you onto your closing date as scheduled. So, we don't lock in your interest rates up front on that construction approval unless you're doing a one-time close. So we're going to be revisiting that interest rate conversation when we get to that 60-day time frame. I would say on average, your rate lock is going to occur probably closer to 30 days from completion. Just because the closer the builder is to completion, the more accurate they are with their projections. That's just the way it goes. So when you're 60 days out, that could turn into 90. You never know. Weather, material, anything can happen to bump that back. So usually when we're within 30 days of completion, that builder has a pretty good handle on that time frame, and we're more comfortable to lock in that rate because interest rates have a shelf life as well. You have a 30-day lock, a 45, and a 60-day lock. And that same loan parameters on a 30-day lock, if you're locking in on a 60-day lock, could possibly be an eighth higher on an interest rate just because of the length of the rate lock. So we try to get a little bit, shorter on that lock term within 30 days, preferably, to try to get you the best terms available. And without having to extend your rate lock, because if we lock you at 60 days and we do a 60-day lock and that turns into 75 days, well, we have a 15-day rate lock extension that needs to be charged. So we try to avoid that at all costs.
Well, let's since we're there, let's talk rates a little bit. So what do you let's go ahead and whip out the crystal ball. We know today is October 14th, 2025. So there's the disclaimer. What are rates trending around today? And then, do you see them going up? Do you see them going down? Like that's the real question right now. Like, why would I not go ahead and lock my rate in right now? Like, that seems safe to me. Why would I not do that?
Well, I mean, as we know, it's really impossible to forecast what's going to happen here over the next 6, 10, 12 months. I would say interest rates are trending downward. So that's, a positive for people, especially that are just starting the construction process, because interest rates are here now. We're seeing it trending downward. There's no guarantee that it's going to be lower. It could go higher. We don't know. But all the markers are pointing for it to start trending downward. So if you're just starting the process now, you may have the opportunity to end up with lower interest rate than what we're quoting right now. So, it's difficult to forecast. Like I said, high qualified 30-year fixed rate conventional loans are in the mid 6s to high 6s in some cases. There's always an opportunity to, pay a discount point or pay discount fees to get that rate lower than the market is yielding. So that's something myself and our team can help you with, is give you your options when it gets down to the rate lock. Say, here is your par rate, which is a rate that we're not charging any discount fees. This is what the market is yielding for your loan parameters. And here are options B, C, D, and E, right? So here's all these options to buy down the interest rate, pay discount points. If you want to look at rolling some closing costs in, we could look at that too. If you're wanting to put additional money down, we can give you those options as well. So that's what our team is here for, is to kind of help you navigate that and make those decisions. and kind of give you an apples to apples comparison of your options. So
very cool.
Always an opportunity to, like I said, if the market rates aren't what you want them to be or what you feel, we're comfortable with, there is that opportunity to roll that or to pay discount points or fees. And we could possibly roll those fees into your loan if we have room.
Great deal. All right, we'll get to more of that here in just a second. Don, we got a couple of questions popping in. Want to answer some of those?
Yeah, Denise had a few, so I'm gonna continue with her. She did say that Blair did reach out, and then she just wanted to confirm that Tilson is gonna update Wagon Hill when they're coming closer to closing.
So how frequently, Matt, do you and your team personally, do y'all meet with Tilson's closing team? What's that?
So it's biweekly. It's every couple weeks. We have a closing projection meeting with the closing team with Tilson. So every 2 weeks, we'll get an updated projection list. So we get our spreadsheet sent to us, kind of projecting kind of where people are in the process, where they're projected to close or completion date. And based off of that information, will trigger us to be reaching back out to these customers to start that update process. So it's a bi-weekly, a couple times a month that we reach out and get that meeting.
So yeah, Denise, to answer your question directly, Tilson will update Wagon Hill when you're close. That's
yes.
And also, and this is not to make it, Matt did a great job of speaking directly to the fact that this is not transactional. Like, he knows very well this has to be relational. The reality is, Tilson does need for everything we've done in your job until you go to closing, and the loan funds. So trust me when I tell you that Tilson is wildly interested in letting Matt know when we expect to be finished with your home.
Because he's the one showing up with the money.
Yeah, subsequently when we expect to get paid for doing what we did. So it really is a symbiotic relationship for you. It's really the best case scenario for our customers because we have 100% of our skin in the game until the very end when you're happy and do your walkthrough and get the orientation all done. So yes, we will be notifying Wagon Hill when we are close.
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely.
Awesome. All right. And then we have Norma, who's looking to buy a home that she needs. She's from Brady, Texas now, but needs to go back to Abilene, Texas. And she's just wondering how to know how much home she can afford.
So what would a qualification? I mean, we kind of hit or miss on Taylor County, which is where Abilene is. We don't service it on the regular. We have built out there, but broadly speaking, just forget Tilson, forget on your lot. How would you walk someone like Norma through finding how much house they can afford?
Yeah, really, I mean, the best way to be accurate with that is to go through a pre-qual process with us, which would include us, running your credit and looking at your current liabilities, your debt to income ratios, getting some information on your income. That's really the most accurate way for a lender to give you an estimate on what you can qualify for. Now, what I can get you qualified for and what you can afford may be two different conversations, right? So I could max you out at a certain loan amount, and you may not be comfortable with that payment, which means you can't really afford it and, to live the lifestyle that you want to live, right? So there's two separate conversations: what your max loan amount or qualification is, and how much can you afford to really, continue the lifestyle that you want to have. So a good example of that is the VA loan program. The VA loan program has very loose guidelines when it comes to your debt to income ratio. You can have an extremely high debt to income ratio and still qualify for the program, which is a benefit to a veteran. But, when we're in the 70th percentile of debt to income ratio and I still can get you an approval, it may not be the best idea. You may be a little overextended there and get yourself into some trouble. So that's a case where we need to have a conversation of, Mr. Smith, I've got you, qualified on the VA program. Your debt to income ratio is on the high end. It's at a 70%, but technically I do have an approval. Here's your monthly payment. Are we still comfortable moving forward here? Because you don't want to get overextended on your credit, just to build a home and get into that house. If it's going to make you, what if your anxiety levels are high, right? Because hey, I've got this high mortgage payment now. Yeah, I qualify for it based off of the particular program, but it may not always be the best idea. So that's a personal decision for you. We can get you qualified for whatever your max is, and then you make the informed decision on if you're comfortable and can afford that moving forward.
Okay, thanks.
Very good.
All right, and then we got Susan saying, looking for a builder in DeKalb, Texas, but was told you aren't building in that area. Are there any plans to expand your buildable areas?
I'm going to help you. It's DCAB. I'm sorry.
DCAP, sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. The only reason I know that is I went to A&M, and there's a gigantic.
It's not in our building area.
It's not. It's in Bowie County. It's one county over. So Bowie County is the furthest northeast, like Texarkana. That's
Gotcha.
it's not far from Lamar County, where we do build.
Yeah, where we just added back in.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's all, and it's actually, so DCAB is specifically the western half of Bowie County. So I may be putting Nick Yates here on the spot, but I bet you there's a not so outside chance that we could probably do that, because it's an area that we're looking to expand to in the not so distant future. So the answer is yes, we do plan on expanding out there, and we do know there's a shortage of people that do what we do in that Bowie, Texarkana, DCAB, Paris, that whole area up there. I think we featured a house not long ago in Van Zandt County, which is like just kind of one county to the south where Canton is, and Maybank and some of those areas. So yeah, we are intimately familiar with Deep East Texas, and a lot of fertilizer and agricultural things come out of DCAB specifically. So yeah, I think that we could probably service that. We will firm it up for sure, Susan, with Nick Yates, our VP of construction, but I don't think that would be a problem.
Okay.
No pressure, Nick.
Yeah. So Carolyn, our new home specialist, is that Nick said no in September, but it's October, so we'll ask again.
We'll ask again.
All right. So we got Kendall, who's building in Hondo, Texas. We're starting the foam insulation and drywall phase. So excited. Thanks for sharing all of this info. You're welcome. Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
And then we've got Sabrina, who's saying, we're in the very beginning stages of trying to build a home in Medina County. I was wondering if PMI is still required when using the EasyBuy program, since only 10% equity is required to qualify.
The answer is yes. So if you're on a conventional loan program and you've met that equity requirement of that 10% for the EasyBuy, you will have PMI, monthly PMI on that loan. The only way to avoid that on a conventional loan is to get to 20% equity. Then you can avoid that PMI altogether. Now, that 20% equity can be a combination of your land value, the appraisal that comes in. Let's just say, based off of your appraisal, you have 10% equity already into the transaction. So in that case, you'd only have to come up with an additional 10% to meet that 20% requirement. So that's where the advantage of your land value comes into play. Whereas if this were a straight purchase transaction, you wanted to eliminate that PMI, you'd have to come out of pocket 20% cash. So having some built-in land equity is definitely a benefit, but you would have PMI on a conventional loan if you had less than that 20% equity or an 80% loan to value.
Okay. And then we've got Lauren asking if you can talk more about the equity situation. We have 40 acres we owe $300,000 on. It's worth $850,000, but we've already done a cash out refi a few years ago. Does that matter?
So we would need to know you owe $300 on it even after the cash out refi. We're going to assume that number, Matt. So, but take it away. I think she's sitting pretty, but take it away.
Yeah, we should be in a good situation there. I mean, it kind of depends on when that cash out occurred. Was it within the last 12 months? Was it was cash out a refi a few years ago? Okay, so yeah, so we're in good shape there. You should have plenty of equity if we're putting up the full 40 acres, which I'm assuming we would be in this case. We would be rolling in that $300,000 balance along with the construction costs with Tilson. In that combination of that mechanics lien balance plus your land loan balance would be combined at the end of the process. And that's when we would roll it in all together and you would close on the completed home. If the value of the land is $850 and you only owe $300, you've got plenty of equity there. So The loan to value shouldn't be an issue. It would just be a matter of, can we get you qualified debt to income wise, credit wise? I wouldn't be concerned with the equity in your property in that situation, because like I said, if it's worth $850,000 and you only owe $300,000, plenty of equity there.
Yeah, I did type it out on the best I could on the surface. If you want to share that chicken scratch, so you got, ignore everything on the left. That's from an old deal. But you got 40 acres. Your land's worth $850,000. The house, let's assume the house is going to be about $500,000. That's about our average right now. Could be less, could be a little more. But again, Tilson's requirement. So the total thing when you're done, the value of the land plus the value of the house is about $1.35 million. Tilson's requirement is simply 10% of that number, which would be $135,000. And so you've got close to $500,000 in equity. You would be well over that 20% mark. Actually, you might be able to avoid mortgage insurance depending on the program. That's up to Matt and his team. Actually, it's not up to them. It's up to the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guidelines. They don't get to make that decision. Going back to the previous question on mortgage insurance from Sabrina, that's not a Tilson or Wagon Hill decision. That is a Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac guideline, conventional lending. It is required on anything less than 20% equity. But in this case, $135,000. So you would not need to put additional money down unless you just wanted to. Again, pending the debt to income ratio situation that Matt and his team come up with. But those are guided by the same guidelines. But yeah, you would, like you said, you would take your house, which is $500,000, add the $300,000 that you owe on the land. You would keep making those land payments. That's an important thing to point out. So during construction, you're not making any payments to Tilson or to Wagon Hill. And there's no interest accruing or anything like that. But because you entered into that agreement to buy that land ahead of time, you would keep making that debt obligation. You would keep making those payments. So your balance would be slightly less, right? By the time we get to closing, Matt and his team will reach out to your current lien holder on the land and find out what the payoff amount is going to be the day of closing. So they would have that dollar amount and basically what's going to happen is the title company is going to cut two checks. They're going to cut one check to your current lien holder for whatever your balance is on the land. Let's call it the $300,000, and they'll cut another check, a wire to Tilson Homes for the contract amount of the house. And then you will have one loan. Did I get that right, Matt? We're pretty clear on that?
Yes, sir. You did.
Okay.
Luck over skill any day.
Well, she says great. The example is great because $500,000 is what they're looking at. They have good credit, so they're good there. She is asking, do we have to combine the existing mortgage? Our interest rate is 3.25%.
Great question.
Yes, yes, you do. So
only if you want it paid off.
Right. So what happens? So if you have an existing mortgage on your property, Tilson's going to file their mechanics lien behind that land loan, right? So they'll be in second lien position technically. And when we go to close the loan as the lender, we want to be in first lien position. So in order to do that, we need to roll in the first and second lien positions on your property and pay those all off at once at the end. So our mortgage note replaces those two, or renews and extends them actually, but replaces those two with the combined balance together. We take out the land loan, we take out Tilson lien, and replace it with the new mortgage note in first lien position. So yes, fortunately, it would have to be rolled in and taken out at the end.
Okay.
But you did good at 3 1/4. Good on you.
You did great at 3 1/4.
You did. And she is also sharing they're in Lee County. They're selling their investment property in January of 2027 to be debt free outside of our mortgage, and plan to build a Tilson there. So hope rates come down more.
Me too. Really. I hope so too.
Great position.
Yeah.
And then she's sharing. I see. Yikes! We only have 12 years remaining on it too. I can't wait that long. We live in a shoebox, so it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, I mean, so let's talk a little bit about that, Matt. Like people do get caught up, and I get it. Like the rate is important, but we've been doing this for 93 years. We've seen rates as low as 2.75 and as high as 19. And we have built houses and my granddad used to say, we've sold as many houses at 6% as we sold at 16%. Not to minimize anyone's payment, but the reality is rates are temporary. They're dare I say transient. that word has been worn out, but it, price is very different from rate, and we can look back over time and see that prices will go up. But you don't need a crystal ball. You don't need a PhD in economics. You don't need Jerome Powell to tell you that over the long term, prices are going to go up. And then, I think there's like 3 years in the last 40 years in Texas, especially where we build, that the prices have gone down. And those were like 08, 09, or I said they were 09 in 2010, and then like maybe again in 2023. Outside of that, in the last 40 years, prices of existing homes have not gone down. They've always gone up.
Right.
They trend up. So, you can wait for, and I'm not picking on Lauren. I want to make that very clear. This is just a philosophical belief, and y'all can agree, disagree, whatever. I'll entertain it. I'll even mute my mic if you want, and y'all can just talk away. But broadly speaking, you're trying to time what the rates are going to be is a lot like time in the stock market. Unless you have genuine insider information, the odds of you predicting that are almost zero. You're not going to win that way. You're much better off getting the price that guaranteed, and then watching rates. Is that so? We can do unpopular opinion game. Dawn loves that game with me, or we can agree to disagree, or whatever. But y'all, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like you said, one thing that you can count on are prices will increase. So if you're sitting on the sideline watching the market for interest rates, well, while you're trying to save a point on your interest rate, you're going to see that exact same floor plan go up in price year after year, month after month. Just depends. I mean, the market's going to dictate that, but I would say, Eric knows best that's just going to continue to happen. Prices are going to increase. Interest rates will go up. Interest rates will come down. So if you're really unhappy with the market conditions and what the interest rates are, I understand that. But like Eric said, if you want to lock in the price of the house, it's better to do that sooner rather than later, because it's just going to continue to go north, right? So if you close on a loan and the rate is 7% and you're unhappy with that rate, it's not a life sentence. If the market corrects and those interest rates come down, there's an opportunity to refinance, right? So you've secured the house that you want. You built the house, the dream house that you've always wanted. Not entirely happy with the interest rate based off of current market conditions, but there's an opportunity to refinance at a later date. So if it's a 30-year note at 7%, you're not going to be paying that for 30 years. You're most likely going to refinance out of that at some point.
Yes.
Very
few people pay for 30 years.
Right.
Like almost nobody. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's just something to think about. It's kind of, a lot of people talk about the interest rates and how that's affecting your borrowing power and your monthly payment, and that's all true. But if you're sitting there at, say we're 6.5%, and you're waiting until it gets to 5.5% or 5%, and in the meantime, that takes a year and a half for that to even happen. And again, that same floor plan that you were looking at a year and a half to 2 years ago, well, they have to reprice it, and it's going to be at a higher price point at that point. So if you saved on your interest rate, well, you may have kind of missed out there on the pricing, and you may be in the same boat.
Yeah. Well, and then you also have the factor that, it doesn't apply to Lauren, because I think she was referring to the land was what she had that interest rate on. But if you're sitting in an existing home that you have that kind of an interest rate on, odds are your value on that home also went up a whole lot. So you're probably in a better equity position than you would have been. And that can a larger down payment can kind of offset some of that and decrease that monthly payment too. So that's always something to think about.
Agreed.
All right. And then we've got Denise asking, do interest rates vary by the amount we are putting down? Say if we are putting down half, can we get a lower rate?
Yeah, a lot of times your down payment will factor into the available interest rate. So we have to put in your loan parameters, and based off of your loan to value, your debt to income ratio, all that's going to factor into the interest rate pricing that's available to you. So yes, typically if you're putting additional money down, you will end up with a better interest rate than if you're not. So if you're at a 95% loan to values compared to a 70% loan to value, so 5% equity is compared to 30%, that 30% equity borrower is going to get a better par rate or better interest rate available to them without paying any discount points or fees. So in general, the more down payment, the better off you're going to be interest rate wise. Plus, if you have that additional cash for down payment, you may want to use some of it towards a discount. If that makes sense to you, we can use some of those funds to buy down the rate even further than the par rate. So just things to think about. We can kind of play with the cash that you have available, kind of work some different scenarios to see what's going to benefit you most: overall payment, interest rate, the combination of the two.
Okay, awesome. We have Stacy asking, if doing a one-time close VA loan and closing is rolled in and we're able to apply funds upon completion of build, how can we apply those funds in hope of reducing the loan amount? Hope that makes sense.
So are you you're talking about buying discount points or fees?
Upon completion of the bill, how can we apply those funds?
It's rolled in. Are we able to apply funds? So I think she's asking, can we bring money to the table to reduce the loan amount? Is that?
You can, Stacey, but it won't. I mean, I guess technically it could be part of your closing cost if you're paying, like what Matt is saying, a discount point as part of your closing cost. Well, that wouldn't reduce the loan amount necessarily. That would reduce the rate technically. The only way to reduce the loan amount is to bring a down payment, is to literally reduce the amount of money that you're borrowing. I hope that's makes sense. Matt, do you read a different way?
Yeah, I think that's what they're saying there.
Stacy, if that's not what you're saying, please, try asking us again. We'll figure it out.
If we misunderstand, it's easy.
Then Lauren was sharing she had a 2.75% before the cash out refi, and we'll never see that again.
My heart breaks for you, Lauren.
Probably not. But she also said if we need to pick on her, it's okay. She's got thick skin. And
I appreciate it. This is great questions. I guarantee you, everybody watching this right now has these same questions. Because if you're not watching this, it's because you're paying cash. You don't care. It doesn't matter. So everybody else watching this, you will have to go through this journey to figure out what you're going to put down, what your rate's going to be, what your equity position is. No, Lauren, bully for you.
These are excellent questions. Thank you for being brave enough to put yourself out there. We've got Fernando asking, how would it work if the property is paid for? I have an example drawn on my little cruddy Marshall Surface. I'm very angry with my pencil. It's not participating. Okay.
But so what I did, just Fernando, I don't know your position, but I just did this. So let's say the land is worth $150,000. The house, we're going to use the same example. It's $500,000. So the total, like the day that we finish this house, you can stick a for sale sign in it. Let's say it appraises for $650,000, the land plus the house. Tilson's requirement would be 10% of that number, which we would require you have $65,000 into it. If that land is in fact paid for, the $150,000, you would need nothing down. And then I did a little LTV or loan to value exercise over here. So we're asking for a $500,000 loan, which would be what the balance is on the home that we're building for you. Based on the total value of $650,000, so you would be at a 77% loan to value. That's that $500,000 up here over the $650,000 total value, and so the inverse of that is what you're technically putting down as your equity. Like you're not cutting a check for anything, but your down payment, because of the equity you have in your land, it looks like you're putting 23% down. Does that make sense, Dawn, Matt? We clear? We good there?
Yeah. Sometimes what I need to explain on the equity piece is that 23% down payment is not reducing your loan amount. Right.
Great.
So
Yes, let's talk
at
about
the end
that.
of this,
Yeah.
at the end of this deal, Tilson's still going to want to get paid out the $500,000. So we're not taking your land value as down payment. So if your land value is $150,000, your construction cost is $500,000. You still owe $500,000 at the end of this. It's not $350,000. The land equity works as just that, equity in the transaction, but your loan amount is not reduced by your land value. That difference does not apply to your loan amount.
Yeah, that question does come up, and it can be confusing if you don't do this every day. So I appreciate you pointing that out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Let's see. We've got Jeremy saying, just joined. We're about to sign our contract with Tilson. Does Wagon Hill offer short-term bridge loans
Don't be
to help
sorry,
cover
Jeremy. We're glad
equity
you just
payment
joined.
until primary residence is sold?
Ah.
What credit is required for the EasyBuy program? So he's got a lot of questions. We want to just tackle them one at a time.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do it. Let's tackle it.
Yes, so we do have some bridge loan products, available that we could, look at to see if it's something that would.
Hey, Matt,
work.
what's a bridge loan?
Yeah, what's bridge loan?
Well, yeah. So
That's when you say, great
loan-
question, Eric. I'm glad you asked.
Yes, yeah, exactly. So the bridge loan kind of helps you when you're in flux between properties, right? So you're trying to get into the new house before you've sold necessarily your existing home. So there's a bridge loan opportunity there that could tap into that equity and give you the ability to use that equity in your existing home for the purchase of the new house before it's sold. It's kind of a short-term kind of portfolio product that we could, we do have the ability to look into that and see if that might work for your particular situation. But yeah, so that is a niche product that Wagon Hill does carry. Now, the credit that's required for the EasyBuy program, in general, Eric, we still looking around 620, 640.
620, yeah, we can do 620. It is lower than it used to be. It used to be like 650, 680, but
yep.
Brett has, he's become very understanding in as the years go by. So he's a little malleable than he used to be.
So 620 in general is kind of the floor for that EasyBuy program. There may be some opportunities for a one-time close. If you're below that, there may be an FHA one-time close that we could look at possibly.
And so, Matt, I don't know if you can see the rest of the comment, but it says, will you consider both my credit and my wife's if we are both on the contract?
Yes. I mean, if you're applying jointly together, what I like to do is to have a joint application where we pull a joint credit report. And if one applicant is stronger than the other, and they're both, income earners, then we could look at possibly removing one or the other from the application, just kind of strengthen the approval. But yes, I mean, we'll consider both applicants' credit on the application as well as their income. What we can't do is apply individually. Say your husband or your wife applies by themselves, and then you want to use your husband or your spouse's income. Well, you can't use their income unless they're on the loan with you. Okay, so if we're trying to tap into their income to help with the debt to income ratio, then both applicants need to be on the loan. We'll need to review your credit and your income jointly. Okay,
that makes sense. And then Lauren, when we were talking about interest rates, she said that usually the length of the loan makes a big difference on the interest rate. I just wanted to verify that that's correct.
Yes. So in general, the shorter the term, typically the lower the interest rate it's going to be available. I would say on average between a 30 and a 15 year, you're going to see about a half a point better improvement between those two products. That can vary depending on market conditions, but I say that's kind of general rule of thumb. It'd be about a half point better.
Okay. And then we have Crystal asking, is Wagon Hill a participating lender with the Veteran Land Board for the VHAP program where you can buy down your rate on your final VA loan?
So she looks like she's looking at Journal Land Office stuff like Texas Vet. I don't think we do Tex Vet right now.
Yeah, I do not think we're signed up to do Texas Veteran Land Board loans. There was at one time or another the opportunity for that, but the last time I checked, we ran in when I was at my last lender at VIP. We ran into an issue where the way it was structured, the land board, Texas Veteran Land Board, was saying, "Well, we're not going to purchase these anymore because it's not a construction loan, and it's not a purchase. It's kind of a hybrid because we're refinancing that mechanics lien." We tried to explain over and over again as a promissory note. There's mechanics lien. Yes, there wasn't a construction closing up front, but essentially we're doing the takeout at the end. They would be okay with a takeout loan of a construction loan, but we're not taking out a construction loan. So they were having trouble kind of grasping it.
It specifically says the program cannot be used for refinancing existing home loans. They're pretty clear about that. So Crystal, I don't think that's one that we could participate in, but it's not to say that we couldn't get close to that rate with one of the other programs that Wagon Hill does offer. And that's the real kicker there is the interest rates are not exclusive to those programs. I don't want people to get too hung up on, especially on your lot, Matt and Don, on VA and Tex Vet. Like, I get it. It's an entitlement, as it should be. Like, you served or your spouse served, and you should get that. Like, it is literally an entitlement. That's what it's called. You are entitled to it. That said, just because you earned it and it is an entitlement, it doesn't necessarily make it the best deal going for you. It could be, but it may not be. So don't get I encourage people to not get so hung up on, well, I have to use this thing because I earned it and I'm entitled to it, so I want to use it. Like, if it's the best deal, then that's the best deal. But be open-minded to other programs that are out there that may offer you, because at the end of the day, if you're financing a home, I don't care what the program is. It's about the monthly payment.
Right.
And it's about, so whatever gives you the best advantage for your family financially, that's the program to go with. And if it's the VHAP, that's the program. If it's a conventional that Matt can put together that makes it cost a little bit less, do you really care if it's that program or not? We've seen tons of situations where VA, while it is a great deal for people who have, and I say that for Built on Your Lot because most of our customers, almost all of our customers, they have equity in the land. Like, VA and Tex Vet benefits are very advantageous to people who don't have any equity whatsoever in the land.
Right.
But we have very, very few customers who are actually in that position. We have some, and it's good for them. But the reality is, if you have equity in your land, like 5 to 10% or more, that opens up the playbook, Matt's playbook for conventional loans to be pretty advantageous. They have a lot lower fees, a lot lower funding fees, all different things like that you don't have to do if you're not doing a VA or Tex Vet program. So all I was saying is be open to suggestions. It may or may not be the best deal. And Matt, you can trash that if you want to. I can hurt my feelings, but I think that's historical.
No, I mean, it's definitely case by case, right? So, like you said, if you have equity in the property already, and say you have 20% equity, and you qualify for a conventional loan, and let's say you're interested in waiving escrow, for example, you can't waive escrow on a VA loan. They require you to include your property taxes and insurance, no matter how much equity you have. Conventional program will allow you that flexibility to make that choice. And a lot of people like that option. So that's one thing to look at between those two programs. And to kind of touch base back on this Tex Vet deal. So in the past, we would do a Tex Vet transaction, and there were additional fees incurred with that particular program. For example, there would be 2 points charged, a participation fee and an origination fee for the Tex Vet program. And if you're charging 2 points on that program, we can get very, very close, if not better, on a straight VA loan if we're charging 2 discount points. So it's basically very similar in the pricing between those two. But again, like Eric was saying, and I talked to my veterans about this as well. Same thing, Eric. Just because you're qualified for the VA program does not always mean that that's the best program for you. And
right.
Most people understand that, and they're open to kind of looking at apples to apples.
It gives them the best deal. That's what
absolutely. Because if it's this, the second or third time you've used your VA entitlement, you're going to have a higher funding fee. than you would if it's the first time. And then, of course, it depends on your LTV as well.
Well, and your disability level. I know because the VHAP
Exactly.
program, you have to have a minimum 30% disability. So there's a lot of factors that play into that.
Yep.
That's not the same for everybody. So your point of being case by case is well said. We got a couple of questions. We'll do a last call because it's after 3. We've held Matt for an hour and he has work to do. Dawn and I don't. We'll hang out, but Matt has work to do. But let's do a last call for questions. These have been awesome.
Yeah, these are great questions.
Here we go.
All right. So Felicia says it's the first time buying a home and not familiar with the loan process. Is there a way to go over your debt to income ratio without doing an official pre-qual, essentially to advise?
Yeah, I mean, it's not an exact science. One thing that's difficult for a consumer to calculate, which, as a loan originator, I've got a lot of experience doing it, is trying to figure out what your estimated property taxes are going to be for that debt ratio, what the insurance cost might be for that debt, that size loan amount or construction cost. In general, what we look at for your debt to income ratio is we're going to take your gross monthly income. So whatever your gross is prior to taxes and deductions, unless you're self-employed, there's a different calculation. We have to use your net income on your tax returns. But if you're a W-2 wage earner, we're going to use your gross monthly income and balance that against your current liabilities. So any installment loans that you have, auto loans, student loans, revolving credits like credit card, minimum credit card payments, any other outstanding mortgages or other properties that you have, we have to factor those monthly liabilities and balance that against your monthly income to come up with that debt to income ratio.
Combined. If you and your spouse are on there, it's combined, right? I know that seems elementary to us, but it is your combined gross monthly income.
Yes. So your combined gross monthly income and your combined gross monthly debt. So if there's 2 applicants, we're going to take all that income and your debts along with that. And we have to factor in the proposed mortgage payment, property taxes, and insurance for the Tilson home that you're building. And it's new construction. So right now you're being taxed on land value only. You may have a $100 tax bill at the end of the year. Well, that's going to go up, right? So we have to factor in or project what that estimated property tax is going to be once the house is complete. So you can't just use that very low tax calculation when factoring it into your estimated payment. So we take all that. In general, on a conventional loan, well-qualified borrower, you're going to be maxed out at a 50% total debt to income ratio. Can't exceed that number. On an FHA program, you can go slightly higher. On a VA program, you can go even higher than that. But in general, you're going to probably want to be around that 50% debt to income ratio or lower in order to qualify for a conventional loan program, the EasyBuy program, so on and so forth.
Okay. And then Lauren is asking, are you locking in rates at contract signing or at closing when construction is complete?
So
we'll enter both EasyBuy and one-time close.
Yes. So the EasyBuy program, which is the majority of the Tilson deals, that rate lock does not occur until we're approaching closing. So upon completion of the home, usually within 30 days of completion.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
On a one-time close, the rate is locked up front at the construction close, but that's a different product. So it's going to be a higher interest rate. So there'll be an interest rate during construction, interest-only payments during construction at the construction rate. And then that will modify at the end of construction to the note rate, which is slightly lower, but still not market. It's above market. So it's a little more pricier than doing the EasyBuy program, just because of those interest rate and fees that are involved. But it is still.
Is there a float down?
There is a float down option, that we can look at on that one-time close. But again, likely not going to be floating down to the market rate
right
when you're locking it in at the end. So it's still going to be higher than what you would get if you were just doing a straight VA loan, EasyBuy at the end.
Perfect.
And Lauren, with your equity position, we're going to lock yours at the end. That's how we're going to.
That's what you want to do,
do that,
especially as rates are trending downward.
Yes. All right. Jeremy is sharing, we're currently leasing to own a piece of property for my in-laws. I know they're awesome. I assume the land needs to be in our name in order to build on it. Is there a way to build without purchasing the land and without my in-laws on the loan agreement?
There's not. So we will need to now what we can do is a short-term loan, right, Matt? We can do a way where we can close on this land, really a one-time close, which is designed to be a short-term loan. So we would close on the land, get the land in y'all's name, out of your in-laws' name, and it's by design a short-term loan. That is an option. There's other options too. Depending on where you're built, when you're building. If you want to do a little bit longer term, so anything longer than 12 or 18 months, you want to do like just a regular lot closing of some sort. But if it's going to be less than 18 or really less than 12 months for sure, a one-time close is a great option. But yeah, the land does have to be in your name for us to be able to do that, or they would have to join on the contract documents.
Okay. And then we've got Ed sharing with us. I can't tell you how much we appreciate your weekly insights and info with these live videos. It really does help us prepare. Thank you. Well, thank you,
awesome,
Ed. We
man.
appreciate you watching.
And making the trips down from Washington State. It's a long way.
Yes. And then Crystal, who was asking about the Tex Vet program, says in her situation, she wouldn't have the funding fee. So a lot of those fees wouldn't apply, but she does thank us for the detailed answer.
Yeah, of course. So thank you for your service, obviously.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So
Jeremy's also saying thank you.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Thanks, Jeremy.
And I didn't even take the bait on the in-law comment. I think I'm very proud of that. Till now. Anyway, so obviously, okay. So thank you all for joining us. This has been amazing. The journey does not end here. Matt, how could people get a hold of you if they had questions for you and your team specifically?
Sure. Well, I mean, my email is, I don't know if, can we share that in the
Dawn can do she can do all kinds of magical things. She can make us go away. She can share things. She can,
Yeah. So, I mean, you could always reach me at my email address, mhowe@whohomeloans.com. And my phone number, 512-651-0720 is my line. So you can always reach out to me at either of those.
Can you say that again so I can make sure I typed it right?
Which one?
512.
Your phone number.
512-651-0720.
Cue the AI bots. Can't wait.
So that's how you get Matt.
Yep. So yeah, I mean, obviously, if you got questions specific to that, get hold of him. Every one of our design centers, we got 12 locations open 7 days a week. All of them have access to Wagon Hill's contact info. We got an Instagram page. We have a Facebook page because most of you are watching us through there. We have a YouTube channel with tons of information. Every single one of these videos are housed over there. We have a website open 24/7. We are hard to hide. We don't hide good at all. We're bad at hide and seek. We're terrible, worst ever. If you have questions about building a custom home on your land, this is the source. We're the people to talk to, and we have the lending partners like Matt to help you answer that gigantic question of, so how do we pay for this thing? Don't be bashful about it. The only dumb questions are the ones you don't ask. That's like, there's nothing to be ashamed of when asking these questions. Like, these are questions that every single person building a house has to have answered. So, and Matt and his team do it better than anybody else in the whole industry. I know because I've worked with all of them. So hit them up with those questions. Don't let the journey stop here. Come see us at any of our design center locations. Go to our YouTube channel, go to our Facebook page, go to the website, reach out to our new home specialist, set an appointment, go in and talk to our design consultants, make those changes to the plans, ask them these questions about financing. How does the equity work? And they can walk you through the high levels of qualification, and then invoke Matt and his team when the appropriate time is, and get that pre-qualification done and get those deeper questions answered. So thank you, Matt, for taking time out of your day to join us, man. Appreciate you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you, Dawn, for setting this all up and making it happen seamlessly as always. And thank you all for watching and tuning in. We hope this was helpful, and we genuinely soon hope to make you part of the Tilson family. We'll talk to y'all later.
Bye, everybody.